So this is a video called Bethesda Just Lost Fallout. Oh boy. Here we go.
All right, let's go back to March 2021. Microsoft just purchased ZeniMax for $7.5 billion.
Woo,
Reports come out that
sheesh.
Bethesda is still in charge of their IP, though. Everything has to go through Todd. So 5 years go by. The Fallout TV show is a huge hit. Fallout is just more popular than ever. But 5 years have gone by. And the only way to play new Fallout content is through Fallout 76 updates.
True.
No new game has been greenlit, and Fallout 5 won't come until probably the late 2030s.
True.
Now, Xbox has been run by a gamer for over a decade, and things have never been worse. Phil gets replaced by Asha, who is
He was super worried about being called a bad guy, and he didn't want any crunch or anything like that. And he didn't want to stifle creativity, so he just greenlit a bunch of theater kids' dumbass ideas and let them sit around and play developer and never actually make a game.
notably not a gamer, and Asha takes a look at Xbox's most popular IP and sees Fallout and Elder Scrolls haven't had a release in 11 and 15
True.
years. You know,
True.
real actual releases.
All right, but I will say this. Yes, she's cleaning house. She's putting the fear of God in them, and that's cool, whatever. What people need to understand, though, and, I'm not making a political statement here, but what people do need to understand is that while she has fired like 3,000 people from Xbox, Microsoft themselves have hired like double that amount in H-1B visa holders, which are like immigrant workers that come in at a lower wage than Americans. So they're really, this is just what happens. They're really not coming in and cleaning house and making it a better place. They're just cheapening the workforce. They're making the workforce cheaper by importing people and firing Americans.
So Asha goes online and sees fans do in fact still love these franchises, and within a couple of months of being in charge, has seen the most obvious move available to them and acted on it. And I kinda see it like this. At the top you have...
Now, I will be honest, they needed the fear of God put into their hearts. These developers have gotten too big for their britches. They're too comfortable putting out slop and garbage. They really did, but I mean, I don't know. I just think that there's a little bit of side note that people need to understand to that. While this is a W, it's not like a full W,
Of Xbox,
Not 100%.
and then there's Bethesda Game Studios and Obsidian. Bethesda has their IP with Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield, and then Oblivion has a whole bunch of things going on over there, including...
Oh, man, and let me say, every single one of Obsidian's single projects, their solo projects, garbage. Not garbage, but very mid-tier at best. Like, Pillars of Eternity might be their top one, and even that's, like, kind of not as good as what it's based off of. Obsidian is really good at taking someone else's franchise and making it into a game, and they're really bad at making their own franchise. All of their franchises I don't like any of the worlds that they make at all.
Including 2 mystery projects. Now, of course, the head of Xbox was Phil Spencer. And I think Phil would think to himself, I'm going to go and find out what my developers are doing. So he would come down to Bethesda Game Studios and...
I don't think Phil would ever do that.
He would, knock on the door. And of course, Todd would come out and,
I will say this. Phil Spencer was an absolute joke of a CEO. He did a horrible job. He was not keeping track of stuff, and he was just letting everything just kind of go along. So, I don't know. But then again, he's beholden to the board and all that, so who even knows there?
These guys are good
Could
friends.
be a
They've known
patsy.
each other for a while. And I imagine Phil would be curious about what's going on with the various projects over at Bethesda. He would ask how Elder Scrolls is going. And I'm sure Todd would lie and say, they're getting there. Everything's moving along nice and smoothly. Phil might come down here and then he might just walk past that one. And you'd come over here and you'd say, well, what's going on with this one, Todd? And Todd would be like, oh, well, that one? Oh, we're doing more with that one than we ever have before. Like, Phil, have you tried Fallout 76 recently? And we can only assume that Phil would be satisfied with this conversation. He'd be like, oh, I'm so glad you're doing so much with Fallout, Todd. Oh, I can't wait to see Elder Scrolls. I can't wait, Todd. He'd probably get a good whiff of Todd's aura while he's there. And he'd walk his happy ass right back to Xbox and just do nothing. Todd would wipe his brow because he dodged another bullet from what could have been, maybe some management coming down on him. and he'd walk
Yep.
his happy ass back into Bethesda and continue to do nothing as well. But eventually, you can't run a business like this, and Phil got tossed out. This is when we got Asha, and while she might look friendly on the outside, I think there's a little something going on in there. Asha does not like inefficiencies. So when Asha took over Xbox and, she was thinking about what her developers are doing, I imagine she eventually made her way over to Bethesda Game Studios and, knocked on the door. Todd came out and he thought, oh, this'll be an easy one, right? Asha started asking questions, hey, Todd, where's this one at? Todd probably tried his bullshit answers, which that may have gotten him
It's got 16 times the detail.
somewhere with the Elder Scrolls because they are in production and everything like that. I'm sure Asha was a little bit more understanding.
Dude put out a trailer like a decade ago for Elder Scrolls 6 and then didn't do any work on the game past that.
When it came to
And
something
all the trailer was it said Elder Scrolls 6.
that they're actively making at least. But eventually you have to imagine that Asha came over here and was like, well Todd, I see a lot of people online like this one. And so Todd thought, I've done this a million times. I can dodge this one again. Well, you see, Asha, we're doing more with Fallout than we ever have before. Have you seen 76? And Asha probably turned to him and said, yes, Todd, I have seen Fallout 76. It's not your greatest work, I wouldn't say. Todd, we have another studio with a lot of people that have experience with this IP here. And this is where I can only imagine Todd got kind of sad.
Man, he probably got
he
hurt.
knew where things were going. Yeah, Todd, I think we're gonna let them take a crack at it. As she turned around and she grabbed her Fallout IP, and I imagine she walked right over
When they started Morrowind, they had like 6 people on their team.
to Obsidian, where she then looked at some
Fallout 76 isn't half bad. Shaman isn't half good either. yeah, true. True. It's so middle of the road. There's a lot of I think that the issue with Fallout 76 is they tried too hard for all the MMO stuff, and really what they should have just done is just made a Fallout game that was multiplayer. I mean, if you made a 4-player or even an open world Fallout with like all these people in it, and you kill an enemy and they have their actual clothes and their actual gun on them, and you can actually loot stuff, and they wanted to nickel and dime the players and make everybody grind like it was an MMO. But people hopped in to play a Fallout game. That was the issue. It was a Fallout. It was an MMO, a poorly made one at that. With a Fallout skin on top. Sure, the gunplay was fine, and I don't know. There's a lot of fine things about it, a lot of mid-tier things about it, but they didn't make it Fallout. I think that was the issue. It could have been good for sure, but it was just what it was. Yep. Worst Fallout, but not a terrible game. I mean, second worst Fallout. Brotherhood of Steel, in my opinion, is the worst Fallout. But we don't need to think about that one. I don't know. It has its moments. They have put some new stuff in that's not horrible now, but I think that like a big problem with it is the loot factor, or like I don't know. I think that if you're gonna do a Fallout MMO, really you need to do something like World vs. World and Guild Wars, or Gloria Victis, where there are factions that you sign up for and you play with them, but it'd have to be more open, it'd have to be more savage, it'd have to be a little more similar to DayZ in a way, honestly. I don't know. Brotherhood was pretty bad, yeah, it was.
Some things people like, but it's just she's a numbers kind of girl. It's just probably just not the kind of stuff she's looking at, especially that one. And apparently down here, one of these mystery projects looked a lot like Fallout. Asha probably wondered, what should I do here? I don't think it was really that big of a decision. She just kind of took everything Obsidian was working on, and then she took Fallout and she just kind of placed it right there.
Yep,
she called
good.
that a job done, turned around, and went right back to Xbox. And I just want to point out how...
Because I will say, Elder Scrolls, Bethesda, while they did completely flop making an MMO out of Fallout, mid-tier game, mediocre, not really a great Fallout, not really a great MMO, because it tried to do both and it did neither very well. But they did a pretty good job with Elder Scrolls Online, honestly. Elder Scrolls Online, that's a good between Elder Scrolls and an MMO. I think the thing is, with Fallout, what you would need is something more similar to Rust and something less similar to RuneScape,
poetic this is. I mean, Bethesda was incredibly aggressive in obtaining the Fallout IP from Interplay. And so, after over 15 years of Bethesda being in basically sole control of Fallout, it only took a few months of a new boss to just give the IP right back to Obsidian. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Obsidian literally owns the IP or anything now. I mean, as we can all tell, Xbox clearly owns the IP right now. But
Yeah.
I think it's important to realize that Todd does not get to make the decisions on Fallout anymore.
Good.
And of course, I'm sorry for anybody who was looking.
No, Starfield was mid tier at best. The only reason I even want Starfield right now is because I really want to play the Star Wars mod. Speaking of games that I want, guys, what the fuck? I thought that I had Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I thought that I owned it. I was gonna boot it up. I was like, dude, let's do a full playthrough of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And then I realized I don't fucking own the game, god damn it, and I'm too poor to even pay for a $20 game right now because I'm an idiot. It is what it is. But Jesus Christ, guys, it's in my wish list, and I never bought it back in the day. Oh, I'm so butthurt about that. If I had Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, I would do 3 playthroughs probably. Anyways, I'm glad to hear Todd isn't in control of Fallout for sure. Yes, Todd needed to lose some control. Starfield was mid tier. Elder Scrolls has been taking 2 decades to be made. Fallout has a successful show that's had 2 seasons that's critically acclaimed. That means they're getting to the 3rd season, which means they're about to fall off and start doing dumb shit. So they only have a short time to capitalize on the Fallout hype that's happening. And really, if they wanted to capitalize, they would have seen the first show come out. They would have already passed it over to Obsidian right then when the first season came out. And by the time a year after the second season came out, they would have dropped a in between game. Honestly,
Looking forward to Avowed 2, all maybe 12 of you. But this right here just clearly is the better decision. It's best for business, and it's just what I wanted, so I'm happy for it.
yeah,
And I know
it
you've
is.
seen a thumbnail, an article, a full video. I know you know about this. But there is a new Fallout game reportedly coming from Obsidian. Now,
Hell
of course,
yeah.
reportedly means it's a rumor, so it's inside.
And the guy who's in charge of it right now is also the dude who was working on Fallout New Vegas. The dude who was in charge of Fallout New Vegas.
Or info or something. But it is important to mention that this is directly from Jason Schreier. The article I'm using at the top is Forbes, and this is from Paul Tassi. But that's just because Bloomberg wants money from me to read their articles. Just
Yeah.
for credibility's sake, a few things that Jason has gotten right. He accurately predicted that Fallout 4 was set in Boston in 2013. Of course, it wasn't revealed until 2015 that that was true. He also leaked an entire script for Fallout 4's main storyline.
Crazy
He called
work.
Xbox closing Arcane, Tango, and other studios before it happened. He was right about 2023 Epic layoffs before it happened. He called The Last of Us Online being shut down, and just among many other things. There are some people that for some reason don't like
Who played The Last of Us Online? I need to know who hurt them.
Jason. I don't care. He's right about things, and that's what I care about. Something incredibly important with this news is that Josh Sawyer is reportedly going to be the project lead of this game. He is, of course, most known for being the project director on Fallout New Vegas, and that just lends a ton of credibility to the project in general. But it doesn't stop with Josh. There are actually a lot of people working at
It's the
Obsidian
first time
right
I
now
heard
that will assumingly be
ever heard that it had an online. Oh yeah, it was like a shitty little side multiplayer mode where you could fight each other. It was so bad.
working on this game because it's basically
I played it once because I never even really played the main game. I was over at a buddy's house and I played it there. He was like, and he was like, dude, you got to try the online for this game. Oh, it's so good, dude. And I hopped on and we waited 20 minutes for a match. We finally played it and it sucked balls. Oh, it was so bad.
the only thing Obsidian is doing right now. Of course, one of them is Fergus. He has been there since the start. He was the division director on Fallout 1, and he had 4 different high-level roles for Fallout 2. He was also the CEO of Obsidian during New Vegas. Now, Fergus is more of an executive type role. He is not really part of making the games, I don't think. But don't worry, because we have Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine is probably a name that you know.
Tim Kaine. That's the guy. What did he make? He made the original Fallouts, right?
He is the
yeah, there it
original
is. Duh.
creator of Fallout. He also has a YouTube channel that you should definitely check out. And for Fallout 1, he was the producer, lead programmer, and original game
Gotta
designer.
respond to
And he
my
also
buddy's
did
message
original
soon.
game design for Fallout 2. Now, Tim Kaine notably didn't work on New Vegas, so he is more of an OG Fallout type guy. I mean, the
Cool.
entire thing was his idea to begin with.
Yeah.
And also along those lines, we have Leonard Boyarsky. He was the lead artist, art director, and also did original game design for Fallout 1. And he also did original game design for Fallout 2. Now, sort of a fun fact is that
Sheesh.
Leonard, Tremel Ray Isaac, and George Almond were basically the art team that created Vault Boy and all of the various
Oh
cards and
no,
everything
that's
that were in the
badass.
original Fallout game.
Dog. Oh, this. All right, that's hyped.
And last but certainly not least, we have John Gonzalez, and he was the lead creative designer and writer for New
Dude, they're putting together the fucking Avengers of Fallout.
Vegas. He is
What?
credited with many characters such as Mr. House, Yes Man, Benny, and many more.
What?
There are even more people at Obsidian that worked on the
Might want to check out the mods. Yeah, I heard that there's a mod that yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that up soon for sure. I did. Let me look at these. I heard there's a mod that you have to get that's like, gosh, I don't remember what it's like the whole fix the whole game shit. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check
original
into
Fallout
that.
games and on Fallout New Vegas. And sadly, we are missing Chris Avalone, who was incredibly important to Fallout 2 and New Vegas. But in spite of that, we still have an amazing Fallout team here. And I
Yes, we
really
do.
just can't wait to see what they
Yes,
do.
we
Paul
do.
Tassie's article goes on to say, it seems like we are entering something of a common sense era for Xbox in terms of many major decisions being made, such as immediately reducing the absurd 50% price hike on Game Pass, which instantly
Fixes the
lost the
game.
service
Ah.
millions of subscribers. And he goes on to point out why this was so common sense to do. He says Obsidian's Avowed underperformed, yet a sequel was greenlit anyway. And if we check the Steam charts, we can see that it peaked at under 20k, which just isn't where you want to be, with a current player base of about 500. He points out that Obsidian is widely known for New Vegas, and that Bethesda was not slated to release a new mainline Fallout entry until...
Oh my god. Well, it just popped up, Harmony. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm gonna start the download now.
well into the 2030s. And of course, the IP is more popular than ever thanks to the Amazon TV show. He goes on to say 2 plus 2 equals Obsidian should make a new Fallout game. This is probably a decision that should have been made years ago, as this will not come to pass until years from now. Even with Xbox trying to accelerate timelines on AAA games, it's still going to be
This is super hype, by the way. I really do appreciate that. It's gonna be badass.
a years-long wait. Anything less than 3 would be a miracle. The original development cycle on Fallout New Vegas was just 18 months, but that was in 2009, and 17 years later, boy has the industry changed. And
Oh,
Paul
yeah.
is probably right about this. If I had to do a possible timeline, in 2010, the average dev cycle was about 3 to 4 years for a AAA game. New Vegas famously took 18 months. And that was, of course, using Bethesda's tools, and Obsidian at the time just kind of got shit done. Now,
Yeah.
in 2026,
yeah.
the average dev cycle is about 5 to 6 years for a AAA game. So, in New Vegas terms, a new Fallout could take maybe 3 years. And to be honest, Obsidian still gets shit done.
True.
If there's one thing they can do, it's ship a fucking game. The article goes on to say at least
Yeah.
one theory as
Might not be a good game that they could ship it.
to why Obsidian didn't start on a Fallout title at Xbox was the idea that perhaps Bethesda didn't want that. I
Yep.
want to point out that this is not a theory. Todd has said this multiple times publicly, even if not in those exact words. One that I remember is in 2018, he did an interview with The Guardian. This was after E3 2018, of course. And these article interviews are always weird. It doesn't really say what the question was. They just kind of go on about how Obsidian made New Vegas and this and that. So I can only assume the question was something like, would you ever let Obsidian make another Fallout game? And Todd's response is, I wouldn't say never. But now that our company is so big, it's always better to keep stuff internal.
So
it becomes
basically,
less
no.
likely, but I could never say never. I thought the Obsidian guys did a fabulous job. And Todd has had some form of this response to this kind of question every single time. Paul
Yeah.
goes on to say, but now Bethesda released a somewhat underwhelming Starfield and is staring down the barrel of an Elder Scrolls 6 that will probably not be out until a decade after it was first announced.
Big
So I never
oof.
miss an opportunity to rag on Starfield. I just want to point out we're right back down to where we were before that stupid fucking update. right down to under the 5K players. And when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6 releasing, I mean, IGN has something to say about that. IGN made this article after all of the layoffs that Xbox did recently, and it's titled "The Elder Scrolls 6 will..."
To be fair, Obsidian and they get a hit, it's out of the park. Yeah, I think that if you hand Obsidian a franchise, they'll do a fantastic job every time. They just can't make their own shit. They're not good at making up stories. But if you give them someone else's story, they can fan fiction the hell out of it.
will suffer because of Xbox layoffs. Bethesda staff say, fearing delays, crunch, and generational talent being replaced by contractors. The article goes on to say, speaking
Yeah,
on conditions
whatever.
of anonymity,
Generational talent doesn't take 2 decades to ship a game. I'm sorry. It really doesn't. Generational talent does not take 2 decades to ship a game, no matter how good you think you are. Fallout and Knights of the Old Republic was perfect. Yes, Fallout New Vegas and Knights of the Old Republic 2. Amazing follow. And they had 18 months to make those games, each of those games. It's crazy.
that's such a hard
What
word
a
to say.
turnaround.
Current and former staff had told me that job losses across Bethesda Game Studio locations have removed more than 50 employees,
Good.
including key
Good.
high-performing people in the trenches. Building the
You can't say you're high performing if you haven't shipped a game in 2 decades.
company's long-awaited Skyrim successor. This, in turn, they say, has shattered morale, raised the risk of future development crunch, and increased the likelihood
Good.
that the game's already far-off completion date will be delayed.
Yeah, right.
Fucking people. They
Yeah.
also
KOTOR 2 is one of the first games that made me cry just without how much I loved it. Yes. Yes. Oh my god. KOTOR 1 was amazing too, though, to be fair.
said we were already...
BioWare, that was BioWare back in the day. Holy shit. To make a BioWare game, or with how, yeah, dude. Oh my god. See, Obsidian would follow up. It'd be like BioWare, legendary dev, makes an amazing game. Obsidian follows up and makes it better. Bethesda, legendary dev, makes a badass game. Obsidian follows up and makes a better one. Like, it's crazy that they were able to do that multiple times.
running a tight ship and are worried about this delaying the game. And I gotta push back on this a little bit. I know a lot of people always think that like only the executives can be wrong. All of the little guys that work at the studio, they're probably all just hardworking individuals and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure that
Most companies, actually everywhere I've ever worked, it's like 75% of the people are lazy assholes who are stupid.
that is true a lot of the time. But it isn't true all of the time.
It's only like
And
25% of the people at any company that works.
in the case of Bethesda
They're
Game
carrying
Studios,
everybody else.
do you really see a company that has increased productivity with more employees? This picture shows just Bethesda Game Studios. This is a graph that has been passed around a lot, and it usually has a bunch of other studios that were helping Bethesda Game Studios, and they would be like layered on top of
Checks
these
out,
other
yeah.
bars. I've gotten rid of those just to show you Bethesda Game Studios themselves. At the time of releasing
Bethesda.
Starfield, they were up to about 400 employees at just BGS. When they released Skyrim, they were at about 100. Skyrim came out 3 years after Fallout 3. Are we starting to notice something
True.
here? A dev team that is 4 times bigger than it was before is now apparently really struggling to make this fucking game.
And then Fallout 4, I mean, Fallout 4 is a great game, but I've never actually finished it because the main character the choices you have in the story are basically non-existent. It's like, what flavor of yes do you want to say? Do you want to say yes, or do you want to say yes kind of sassy, or do you want to say yes but you don't want to do it really? Like, it's all like, just what flavor of yes do you want to say to the story? Fallout 4, very linear, very disappointing for that.
I'm sure a lot of that comes down to executive management and all of that. But also, some people might just fucking suck at their job, and they might have to be fired.
Yeah.
There is something
True.
at Bethesda that is incredibly inefficient. It's inefficient, and there is like no quality standard whatsoever. They need big changes over at Bethesda, and if this is something that has to happen, it just fucking has to happen. There
Yeah.
are more developers who were speaking out, but they were apparently the previous lead quest designer at Bethesda for Fallout
I enjoyed
7.
Fallout 4, but it wasn't for the story. I just liked exploring the map, and that was it. I will be fair about this. The map was way better because something about Fallout New Vegas that does fuck me up is just the map is so tan and gray that I fall asleep when I play that game. And even though it's one of my favorite games of all time, it does put me to sleep because of the color palette. Fallout 4 has a more vibrant color palette, and I do appreciate that. The characters were also there were some cool characters in it. I will agree with that. Like the synthetic detective Nick Valentine. That's cool as hell. Agreed. New Vegas map was the worst part about it. I have to use filter mods. Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. Yes, that makes sense.
76. And he tweeted, "In unfortunate news, I, along with many of my peers on Fallout 76, have been laid off as a part of the larger Xbox restructuring.
Rip
I'm proud
Bozo.
of my 7 years on the project and my time helping to lead quest design for the game. I have played the entire main quest line of Fallout 76 and even most of the side quests. And I don't think that you were good at your job. Do I feel bad on a human level? Sure. I don't
I
want
don't.
anybody
No, I think that if you're bad at your job, you should lose your job. Hot take: if you can't do your job, you shouldn't have it.
to lose their job. But if you're bad at your job, it's time to get a new
I
job."
laughed so loud then.
The article goes on to say it is likely that the studio may not
Oh,
have much
man.
leverage to protest something like this these days. Fallout is Xbox's. If it wants Obsidian to make a Fallout game so players can get their hands on one before 2035, it's going to do that. And
True.
yeah, yeah, that's what's going to happen. It was the common sense move 5 fucking years ago. And
True.
it took a former Instacart executive with no gaming experience to step in and within months make that decision. It shows me
I will say this about Asha. Not only is she putting the fear of God into these developers, but she has also taken out the AI implementation out of Xbox, the forced AI implementation that people were hating and nobody wanted. Nobody wants forced AI integration into anything. If they want to use AI, they'll opt in. So there's some big W's she has done. Honestly, there is. I will give it to her. She work in AI? Yeah, so she was the head of AI for Microsoft before she got promoted to Xbox, which makes it even weirder. Yeah, it's wild that she comes and did that. It is. It is. So you could tell that a lot of the moves she's doing for at least for the financials of the business. Like she's got that in mind. I will
and
say.
it should show you that this could have been done from the start. So I
True.
do want to mention id Software real fast. id Software is a legendary team with decades of talent working together. They successfully
She
rebooted
gives me
Doom to the
hope.
modern
True.
gaming era, and they were the exact thing that Asha wanted. In-house tech shared between studios. id Software did
Oops.
everything right. They made tech shared internally. They shipped profitable games regularly.
id Software wanted to make the same game 5 times in a row. You could sell Doom, the new Doom, and everybody will buy it. You could sell the sequel to the new Doom, and everybody will buy it. But if you sell the new Doom 5 times in a row, people are gonna stop buying it eventually because Doom doesn't have a lot to it. I'm sorry to say, Doom is a pretty simple concept when you get down to it. So if I have Doom 1 and I have Doom 2, I don't really need Doom the Dark Ages as well. It's kind of wild. I'm not a fan of Todd Howard, though. Anything that makes him shit his pants is good. Yeah, counterpoint, but Skyrim for the 69th time. Yeah, right? Oh my god. No, I mean, and Todd Howard used to be a G. Todd Howard was like one of the original guys at Bethesda. Like he helped make Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, Redguard, Arena, Morrowind, Oblivion. He used to be great until game developers like I think the real problem came with Todd Howard. He got too big for his own britches, really. He started thinking that he was hot shit. Because when Kojima started popping off and Todd Howard started popping off, once developers started getting famous, that's whenever they started thinking they could do no wrong. And now they were these monolithic creators that, oh, well, I'm going to take 10 years to make a walking simulator about how Norman Reedus is pregnant with a baby. Like, I don't know. Like, these fart-sniffing people who are high on their own supply.
They even co-developed Bethesda projects, and they did this all with about 100
You love Death Stranding. I honestly haven't played it. It's too weird for me, to be real. But I do. I guess I could see the appeal of it. Actually, no, I can't. That's a lie. I can't see the appeal of it. But, you know, I respect your right to like stuff that I hate. Oh,
185
man.
people. They are now less than 50. The remaining studio put out this statement. They said, "Thank you for all the support this week. While our studio was impacted, those changes were spread across."
Hot take, you don't need 160 people to make a game. At a certain point, you just have bloat. Really. These small development teams, these indie developers have proved it to us time and time again. that you can actually get a better game done faster and it could still look good. If you just don't have 200, fucking 300, 1,000 people in your team. You can't keep track of that many people. You can't make sure they're all working, and you can't make sure the work is quality. You've got to have a smaller, better team. I always say this: if you have 100 people working at your facility, fire half of them, fire the lowest half of them, and then give the rest of the guys there a small pay increase, and you will see increased productivity, and you will see a better product at the end of the day, almost every time. Death Stranding's an acquired taste, yeah. World of Sea Battles is just a dude making a school project. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Some of the best games of all time are made by just one dude, just like 5 dudes, just a small group of people.
Teams. We still have the crew we need to build the games and tech we're known for.
Okay, dokie. Thank you.
The team today is about the
RuneScape 2 brothers, yeah.
same size
Yeah, so my mother disappeared the other day, and I was like, can you please just, because she made a friend, all right, and I'm very happy about this. People need friends. She made one of my neighbors is about the same age as her. They're both ladies. Both of their kids are adults now, so they're hanging out and they're chatting. The problem was, I wake up and my mom has a few medical issues and stuff too, so you never know. I wake up in the middle of the night and she's just gone. She just disappeared, and I'm awake for this is. I think I was gonna stream this night, and I just didn't because I was wandering around, just like, where the fuck is she? Worried about her. I texted her. She finally wanders in 3 hours later, stoned out of her mind because she doesn't even smoke weed. She sat in the room with the people smoking the weed, and it got her high, so high that she ate a pint and a half of ice cream within a minute. I turned my back and turned back around, and it was gone. I'm not even kidding. When I say 1 minute, I'm so serious. And when I say a pint and I mean, I'm not exaggerating about that at all. But anyways, I told her, I was like, Mother, if you're going to go out to your friend's house, can you please just tell me you're going to leave now? Just let me know. I'm not so important that I need to sleep or anything like that. Just wake me up and let me know, please. I can understand the worry, yeah, but it's funny. It is, yeah. And she gets it, she's not worried about it. But I just don't want anything to happen and for me to not know, of course,
we were when making Doom 2016. We have always had a flat studio where everyone is a maker, and we will remain true to that philosophy moving forward. We are focused on supporting each other and the team members impacted. We're going to keep building great games and tech that have defined us for the past 35 years, and we're looking forward to...
Look, and this about Doom, they have made great game, or id. Id does repeatedly make great games all the time with in-house software. But you've got to do more than just make the same game over and over again. I mean, I'm sorry. And plus, I'm sure that whenever they came in and they fired the people, they went, all right, you are the 50 dudes who are actually working. You are the 50 dudes who are worth keeping on staff. You other 100, you are the guys who were leeching off of these 50 guys' work. Now, those 50 guys who are left, I guarantee you that at least 35 of those 50 guys who are left are so happy that all their coworkers got fired. They're so happy about it. They've been waiting for it. They've been wishing for this for years. They've been telling their bosses for years that this guy doesn't work. This guy's not doing his job, and I'm picking up the slack. We're crunching now because fucking Phil over at his desk would rather look at photos of cats and pictures of feet than do any work.
Seeing you at QuakeCon this August. And while it's a nice statement and everything, it just doesn't really do it for me. I feel like of all teams at Xbox, id might have been one of the few you should have absolutely left alone.
No.
But I guess only time will tell where that goes.
Nope, because I guarantee you, any of these, as soon as Asha got in, she probably did what I'm saying and was like, well, especially as an AI, you got to think about it this way too. The AI development teams are extremely small because every single time that they get big at all, they start to fall apart and fail because you don't have any quality control. You can't make sure. So the AI teams have to stay small and localized. So she's coming from that, realizing that, oh, wait a minute, designing software and shit like that actually works way better with a smaller team. You actually lose something when your team gets too big. She realizes that. She goes in and she finds the worst performing people in the company and tells them to get the hell out. She goes, we don't need all this bloat. We don't need to be paying these 100 people $100,000 a year when we could be paying the 50 people that are left We could be paying them $150,000 a year, still saving money because we still are cutting back on our salary cost, while at the same time giving a raise to the people who actually mean something. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.